Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of the Coruscant Invitational here at FFGHQ in beautiful Roseville, Minnesota.
Beautiful, cold, freezing cold.
Yeah, it's getting
Roseville,
down
Minnesota.
there. I'm Brian Kylan,
I'm Alex Davey.
and we're getting started today with the play-in round. Before we go much further, we should say that we are aware of a bit of a delay with the audio and video today, so we're going to be working with that throughout the day. The stream is going to be pausing a couple times throughout the day so Twitch can archive it. Yeah, we'll just hopefully get some improvements going there.
Yeah, bear with us as we deal with some of these technical difficulties, but we are going to power through it and bring you all of the exciting X-Wing action here. This morning we have a pretty interesting matchup. We've got Mankit Liu with Whisper, Redline, and Major Vermeil versus Bomber Squadron. So we've got kind of a sort of a triple ace build with Bomber in Redline up against just ordnance for days, proton torpedoes, and Colonel Jendon with sporting that ruthlessness.
And then Dee Yun over here, with Colonel Jendon and a bunch of bombers, going to be shooting some proton torpedoes.
There's a lot of hull on the board, a lot of chance to make use of that ruthless upgrade, so we will see how this plays out.
And these two are two of the 28 players that made it into day 2 here. We're going to be having 12 matches, 4 people. The top 4 got buys into the top 16, and we're going to have 12 matches, and those winners are going to go on to the top 16. So
yep, we've got about 24 players here who do not have buys. They're fighting for those 12 spots.
Yes.
The pressure's on. Every game counts at this point.
And what do you think we should expect here, Alex, in terms of, we've got 2 Imperialists, we got Punisher on the board here, we got a Reaper, and then we got a Lambda and a bunch of bombers.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is that Mankit cannot allow the engagement to simply involve a bunch of proton torpedoes coming his way, particularly with Ruthless in the mix. So he's really going to have to play with his ranges. He's going to have to make sure he doesn't get caught out by that ordnance because he doesn't have the hull points or the durability to stick around. And that Punisher of his is not particularly high agility, so it's not really a situation where you can even hope to get lucky on the green dice. You just have to make sure that you are not getting shot. Yes. That being said, the Punisher's got a lot of really interesting tools to punish a list with a lot of ships in it. It's got Trajectory Simulator, which is one of the strongest bomb deploying cards in the game, and he's packing both proton bombs and seismic charges along with proton torpedoes. So he's going to hit like a ton of bricks. He's going to be able to fling bombs out and hopefully catch a lot of those bombers in the blast. Proton bombs are particularly helpful against a ship that doesn't have any shields because those crits are going to have a big impact. But that being said, Mankit's really got to make sure that he is not getting caught out by a lot of that ordnance, or he will not be on the table for long.
This is true, yeah. A lot of, not a lot of upgrades except on Redline there. Everything is kind of focused right there. Vermeil is pretty interesting with Darth Vader and 000 on him there. So, he's really going to try and control the tokens, really try and use Darth Vader to deal some damage or at least get rid of some tokens on those bombers or the Lambda.
Same thing?
Yeah, it's a really strong combination to have Vader with 000 on there, that stress. But he's put Vader, interestingly, on one of the more fragile platforms. A lot of times you'll see Vader on Whisper, but by putting him on Vermeil, he is going to be able to have much more of a threat coming from that TIE Reaper than he otherwise would. The downside, of course, is the Reaper is relatively fragile.
Yes. Yeah. Not a lot of shields on there, not a lot of maneuverability. So, be interesting to see. I am kind of interested to see if he makes use of the kind of a unique dial of the Reaper, though. It's got those...
It's hard to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got some pretty crazy red turns. It's got the ailerons, of course, which give it that speed, but it's also a little hard to control. It's a powerful ship. It's a pretty reasonably priced ship. but it does not have some of the flexibility because it's always going to be going so quickly.
Absolutely.
Unless it chooses to stress itself, but that's a whole other issue.
Yes.
But yeah, this should be a very interesting matchup. Jendon, of course, on the board is going to help those bombers with their target locking. And it has coordinate as well. And then beyond that, it's just a really good pile of hull to use on Ruthless.
Absolutely. I imagine he's going to want to get those target locks pretty early on in the match here and hopefully do some damage with those proton torpedoes. I don't know how everything went yesterday afternoon. We had a couple matches early in the morning where proton torpedoes weren't as effective as some players would have liked. I think that had a little bit more to do with the rolls, but
Yeah, it's a strong card, but dice can always fail you, of course. I don't think I saw any bombers personally yesterday, so this will be interesting to see. I know that they are a strong choice. Oftentimes you'll see them with barrage rockets, but I kind of am fascinated by this proton torpedo approach. It's really committing to this alpha strike, especially with Ruthless, because you can really put an enormous amount of hurt on with a single proton torpedo.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, barrage rockets do take up 2 slots, correct?
They do.
So do you think that may be a reason why I just went with proton torpedoes? Or
No, because I think that the bombers, if you fly them with barrage rockets, you're generally not taking any other ordnance because you've got 4 charges on the rockets, and they're different slots, of course. So you could theoretically run with proton torpedoes and barrage rockets, but I think most players like to keep bombers pretty lean and mean. They're still pretty fragile. You don't want to dump a ton of points into them.
yes. Yeah.
But proton torpedo is a much more powerful attack, but it does require that target lock, which makes things a little bit more difficult because, of course, his entire list is going to be going before Mankit's list. Mankit's got a 4-5-5, and the Scimitar's a 2, and all the Gammas are initiative 3. So the initiative advantage is certainly on Mankit's side of the table. He'll be able to see everything that has happened before he decides how he's going to play things out. And when you have a ship with adaptive ailerons like the Reaper, you have a ships with barrel roll and that kind of thing, it's very, very helpful to be able to watch everything play out before you have to make your decisions.
Absolutely, yeah, and I would feel like adaptive ailerons on the Reaper sometimes can be a good thing, sometimes maybe not so much.
Yeah, it can be a double-edged sword for sure. It gives you that speed and that flexibility, but sometimes you just want to slow your roll a little bit and stay in the fight.
Yes. This might be one of the times where it's a little bit of an advantage because you can maybe try and get that angle, try and set up something.
Now, I sort of think that Redline's in a good place here. If he can kind of come into the edge of this engagement and maybe pick off a bomber or deploy a well-placed trajectory simulator bomb, catch a lot of those ships in that blast radius. The difficulty, of course, is that Redline is not that durable, and it's a lot of points in a single ship. It's a strong ship, but it's only agility 1, and it's sitting behind 9 total health. So you have to play it pretty carefully if you want it to contribute more than just that opening barrage.
Absolutely. Do you think we'll see the seismic charges come into play here?
Oh, I'd say so. I mean, I think he's going to probably try to prioritize the proton bombs because of the power of those crits. But the seismic charge is a threat with these obstacles placed the way they are. You can catch a lot of ships with that damage. So I would expect to see, if the Punisher survives long enough, both of those options used.
Sure. Yeah, we do have, I don't want to say interesting, but a good spread of obstacles here. So it's going to be hard to stay away from them.
No, I like the layout. He's forcing the swarm to come through this mess of debris clouds and asteroids. So it's not going to be as easy to just have these bombers find their targets.
Absolutely.
this whole game, I think, is going to be decided by some of these opening engagements because it's so important to be able to deal with this bomber threat in the early stages, because this is the kind of list that starts out very strong and loses power and efficiency as it goes along.
Yes.
So it's all about the alpha strike. Once it starts going, once bombers start going down, once torpedoes start getting used up, a lot of the teeth of this list start to disappear. But Mankit does not have a lot of wiggle room. If he makes a single mistake and loses a single ship, he's suddenly going to be in a much, much more challenging situation.
So yeah, probably trying to play a little bit of the longer game, try and survive these kind of opening salvos of proton torpedoes. And
exactly. And I think the way he has deployed here is very smart because he knows that his most vulnerable ship, his easiest to destroy ship, is that Punisher. And he's making sure that the approach angle is keeping that Punisher as protected as possible.
Sure. Yep.
That being said, that one bomber can still peel through those asteroids and throw a proton torpedo. Whisper deciding discretion is the better part of valor. We might see a recloak action here potentially. I can't tell if Whisper has simply remained cloak. I believe it has.
Yeah,
the token's pretty dark, but it looks like it's there. So that should help Whisper keep in the fight, but maybe a shot from the shuttle this round.
Yeah.
Potentially.
It looks like we already have several target locks down there for, I imagine, the bombers.
Okay.
Whisper, actually, it was a cloak token, just flipped it back over, so Whisper cloaked now. We will get a shot here.
Here we go. And a pretty feeble fire from the Lambda there.
And then this should be well out. Yeah.
All right, Whisper doing
shot
fine.
There, yep. What do you think we can expect from Whisper here in this game? Do you think?
I think Whisper's playing the long game.
Okay.
I think this, opening engagement was a bit of a bait and switch. You can do that with ships that are flexible like Whisper. You can kind of draw them in and then escape. So I think Whisper's in a place that she doesn't want to be at the moment.
Sure.
So she's going to probably decloak and peel out away from this fight, come in later.
Okay.
Phantoms are a closer, especially Whisper.
Sure.
You want to keep them around till the end game if at all possible. And he has a lot of potential threats on the lower part of this battlefield with the Reaper coming in, and particularly with that Punisher. That Punisher is his strongest, anti-swarm piece by far. So the way that he uses Redline is going to really influence a lot about this match.
So early on, Whisper probably going to be more of a little bit of a distraction. She's like right there in the middle right now. Maybe see if we can get some people to come after her. Keep her cloaked a little, kind of get out of there a little bit and roll those 4 defense dice.
Yeah, I think she's gonna wait for her opportunity to strike. If she can decloak in a good position where she's not exposed to any fire, she'll do so and she'll take some pot shots. But unless that happens, I think she'll be content to kind of maneuver around from jockey for a better position. Mankit can afford to wait. He can afford to be patient.
Boo, first edition.
Dee Yun, some strong words about first ed. Now, do you think he's got the athletic advantage because he's got that tracksuit on? That's going to keep him, more limber for this sporting event.
I'd be a little intimidated, I think. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's coming at me here. Definitely trying to stay a little bit more flexible, I'd say, and
Good stuff.
Well, what's really interesting to me on this list is each of Mankit's ships is worth almost 2 bombers.
Yes.
You know, these bombers are a little more expensive because they're gammas, but every single ship he's got on the board, very, very valuable. Can't really afford to lose that. And half points for these ships is a lot of points as well.
Absolutely.
So this is where that half point rule really comes into play in second edition. You can't really fortress your points up quite as easily.
Yep. Single one of those gets taken down a little bit. It's going to make a huge difference.
And with proton torpedoes across the table, that hull can disappear very, very quickly.
Yes.
Of course, Redline's packing some torpedoes of his own. And ablative plating. So interestingly, Redline is going to be able to just wade right into the thick of his own bombs. So here we have the very first bomb thrown down. Looks like a seismic charge.
Does look like a seismic charge.
That's a smart choice because he can choose the obstacle after he sees you know, the end of the activation phase. That's going to not only clear the way for his own ships to come in on the flank there, but also maybe do some splash damage to these bombers.
Yep.
Watching Whisper bug out as predicted.
Yep.
Does not want to be any part of that.
Yep.
So now if the bombers go straight, they have kind of moved out of position, and if they turn into the fight, they're going to have to, you know, eat that seismic charge for breakfast.
That was a really nice placement on that seismic charge. Yeah, really kind of limiting where these bombers are going to go, making them kind of risk taking some damage if he wants to do anything, launch some proton torpedoes, or maybe try and take a shot at Redline.
The really nice thing about the Punishers is it has that white reload action. So it can be very, very generous, let's say, with the bomb distribution.
Spend the other time to charge.
Especially with all of those bombers and the Lambda kind of right in the middle of all of the obstacles there.
And in this opening engagement, the Punisher will probably actually have a chance to do a reload. Here we go, as anticipated. So the interesting thing here is the seismic charge is certainly going to do some damage to this bomber.
Yes.
But with an initiative advantage and the power of Redline's double target lock, that bomber, I predict, is going to eat a seismic charge for damage. It's going to face a proton torpedo, and it's going to face fire from Major Vermeil.
Yes.
So he may be able to just use his initiative advantage to annihilate that bomber before he even gets to fire.
There's a good possibility.
It's risky, but it's a strong play.
Yeah, take one of those bombers off right away. Probably make you feel a little bit better about the state of things.
Be a good start, that's for sure. And even if the bomber isn't destroyed, the proton torpedo generates a crit. It has no shields. If it, you know, takes some serious crit, that can really throw it off for the rest of the game.
Where do you think he's?
I think he's debating some Jendon issues here. He's got coordinate as a possibility. He could simply target lock, which is a classic Jendon move.
Overthinking it.
And he's just going to focus. He's going to focus for that flexibility of fire.
Let's see what's happening with these bombers kind of up at the top of the screen here.
We'll see if Whisper does the classic decloak hard turn. Or if Whisper wants to get out of the fight. Now, these bombers have a lot of threat range, a lot of coverage here. He's trying to see whether he can take that target lock on Whisper. That's close.
It is very close.
This is go time. Roll in.
He's going to barrel roll. So not attempting the target lock, just jacking for future positioning. Locks for days on that Punisher.
Yes, yep.
Locks for days.
Not a fan of the Punisher right now.
Well, he knows it's the biggest threat to his list in terms of just sheer firepower. So it's also the weakest target. Makes a lot of sense to try to concentrate on that.
A lot of points there. Can peel some hull off that pretty easily.
Yep. It's nice to see bombers on the table and on the top tables.
Yes.
Haven't seen that in a very long time.
It's been a while. been interesting. We've had like a few lists, I think, that have had bombers in them taking a few different approaches. So
They're strong right now. They're very, very inexpensive, and Ordnance with its multi-charges is a lot more efficacious than
Yes.
it was in first edition. So I think we're seeing the fruit of that on the tables here.
yeah, you can load up some
Bombers
bombers.
and Punishers, two of the least chosen
Yes.
ships in first edition X-Wing, are here in force. And of course, the Reaper there, one of the very first, second edition ships,
Yes.
coming in. Oh,
I
missed that
think
rock
he
by
made it.
a
Yep.
millimeter.
Wow.
Impressive. And
Yep.
Vermeil is just coming in. Now that's a bold move because he's got a ton of points locked up in that ship. He's got Vader. He's really going for that PS Alpha Strike kill, protecting his Punisher. I think he
Yeah.
knows that Redline is actually the beef of this list, and he can use Vader to force that Punisher to remove the focus token or suffer damage. Either way, it's a win-win situation. And 000. Oh, he's going to jam. Sweet.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna leave it safe. Yeah.
So he really
Brent, do it.
got a measure here. It's going to be close.
I think you have it.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Looks like it's in. Judge is going to double check because at this level you want to make sure of absolutely every millimeter. So, yeah.
Oh.
Looks in. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's out of range one.
Oh,
Oh,
all
wow.
right. That's going to be painful. Not a range one. Very painful.
Missed the asteroid.
Missed the rock, but
Yeah.
also missed the
jam.
jam trigger. So that's going to be very unfortunate. That's not what you want to see. Of course, what that means is he's going to be able to remove that focus token instead of just taking Vader damage. There's that hard one that I expected. Hopefully keeping Whisper out of the Lambda's arc there. No, see, the one nice thing about higher initiative and going up against ordnance lists, they have to choose their target priority, oftentimes early if they
Yes.
have that low initiative. So Whisper doesn't have a lot to fear from the 2 dice of that bomber, even though it may be in arc. So Whisper can just turn into the fight and start putting damage onto that Lambda.
Absolutely.
So it's going to come down to whether this bomber can be removed quickly and easily, because I think Vermeil's going to take some seismic charge
Yeah, I was
damage.
just
and
going to mention that. Yeah.
didn't
going
get
right
the
up in
jam
there.
off, unfortunately.
Yeah, really wants to try and eliminate that bomber, I imagine, before it can take a shot at red line.
Yeah, I got
Doing
a
a
classic.
How did it look?
That's a good question. Medium base barrel roll.
This, huh?
No,
In the middle, of course. Okay, go ahead and show me where you're going.
it's got to be all the way flush, right?
No, medium base you can stick out. Yeah.
Really?
You
Oh,
line up
okay.
With the knot.
So more second edition problems. Getting used to that medium ship barrel roll, which is very strange.
yes. Yeah, barrel rolling to the left and slightly back.
I think he just spoke to me with that.
That was very clever. Get out of that range there.
Yep.
So Vermeil probably going to take some heat, but the Punisher may be out of range. We'll see. Ooh.
Wow.
Did he get it?
Yeah.
That is tasty.
Looks like
That-
drop it.
That is tasty. This is just a game of millimeters here.
Oh my God, that's so close.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That is a
I-
beautiful seismic charge. I did not even think it was in range of
that
that
did
middle
not-
rock. But that is
absolutely.
absolutely where he wants it to
Yes.
be. Because
Wow.
that's 4 damage on the enemy list, none
Yeah, yeah.
on his own ships.
Yeah, we're here.
Absolutely brutal.
So,
Just showing the
everyone but
power of
number
that
2.
trajectory simulator Punisher.
Yes. That didn't even look close to being in range to me.
Very nice seismic
Wow.
charge there.
Yep.
And that's what I mean about this Punisher being the number 1 threat. As you can clearly tell from the massive pile of target locks that have
Yep.
accrued.
They want to get him out of there real quick.
So we got an early, painful seismic charge, just spreading damage out.
Line.
Uh-huh.
Hold on.
And here comes the pain.
No, I'm shooting at him. No. Put the
Oh, it's
foundation
gone.
on.
Yeah, that one's gone.
Oh,
Yep, got to remove that
Yeah,
rock.
fine.
And we've got some nasty proton torpedoes coming from Mr. Redline.
Yep.
He's got
Spend the
that
target lock.
double target lock is very
Oh,
helpful.
thank God, dice.
Dice did not come through. And the question, does he
Yes.
take a crit or spend that focus? Of course, if he spends that focus, he's gonna have some issues.
Yes.
He's just taking the crit, stunned pilot. He can
If I cross an off.
probably live with that. That's not so bad. Yeah, unfortunately, Redline really not getting any love from that proton torpedo.
The dice, have not been kind to the proton torpedoes.
Not thus far. He needed to do a little bit more to that bomber, but that seismic charge was beautiful, beautiful play, and he's got plenty of more dice coming in. So here comes Whisper, better roll, significantly.
Owie.
Or is this Vermeil?
Yep. Hit crit.
This looks
That
like
was, that was Whisper with using the juke. It looked like.
yeah. Shooting was it shooting a bomber?
Everything works so poorly.
Wow. Rough start for the Scimitar, or for the Gammas. And here comes Vermeil. Trying to put some final hurt on this mostly uninjured bomber. Considering.
Ooh. Might not want to go after that bomber.
Oh, yeah.
in
Does he
front
try
there.
to finish off the weakened
Ooh,
ship?
yes, good point.
Not a terrible play.
Mm-hmm.
He, with that, unfortunately, nerf proton torpedo he fired at the bomber, he may want to change up his targeting priority.
So they're in order. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Kablamo. This is a tough choice, because taking a ship off the board early, especially fully loaded with torpedoes, is definitely what you want to do, but it's a much tastier shot into that forward bomber. And, of course, if you force it to spend that focus token, you're going to take the edge off of that return fire.
Mm-hmm.
He's going for the closer one. That is understandable.
No, I go for this one.
Oh, no, he's
changed
switching
his
it up.
mind.
All
All right,
right,
yep.
here we go. Okay.
Not a bad roll, 2 hits.
Yep, this could finish off the bomber. I believe
One through, I
not
think that-
quite.
oh,
Not quite. They are pretty chunky. They got
Yes.
that 6 hull on their
Yep.
side.
Oh, God. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so 1 hull remaining on that one. Live to fight another round here.
That barrel roll was so clutch.
Oh, man, that was a beautiful barrel roll.
Wow, yes.
D is not wrong.
Oh, man, I don't know why I'm removing that.
No shot from the Lambda,
Right.
which means it's, if I'm guessing, it's probably a couple little pew-pews into Vermeil.
Obstructed at Vermeil.
One big proton torpedo into Redline. So this is the time for some return fire. Vermeil, of course, not the most agile ship in the game, but obstructed range 3 will help.
Oh, yeah, that should have been a kill. You got it.
Oh, because yeah, Vermeil, he forgot to use Vermeil's ability.
Oh, he did, yes.
Yep, that would have been a dead bomber. Yep, you got to remember your triggers, ladies and gentlemen. Mars Mike Beard, triggered by triggers not triggered. Understandable. Understandable.
Would have probably been the better play to go after that
Yeah, I'm on the
bomber
board.
then, because it didn't have any
did it
green
again.
tokens.
Yeah,
and it could've
exactly.
triggered
That's
Vermeil.
if you were firing at a tokenless bomber, then yeah, you can get rid of those. You can get rid of those tokens. He's got a lot of token shenanigans in this list. He's got Juke, he's got Vader, he's got Vermeil. So he's got to start remembering those because he's paid a lot of points to bring that to the table. It's a powerful ability. You don't want to forget to use it. Not removing that bomber could come back to haunt him in a serious way. But other than that, his turn is going very well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, so far so good.
that's going to change things up.
Yep.
That's not what you want to see.
There we go. There's some
That's what a
proton
proton
torpedoes.
torpedo
Yep.
looks like when it works. And
one
like we
die.
said, the Punisher, not durable. That's going to be a crit push
That is
through.
gonna be a crit. Yep.
And that really evens the playing field right here. Disabled power regulator. Not, oh no. Not what he wants. What he wants to see.
I'm a thief.
Wow.
Some dice thievery going
You
on
don't
over
want
here.
you don't want an ionized red line, that is for sure.
There was I've got this ability.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mankit. Yeah.
Not gonna let any takebacks happen at this level of play, and that is
No.
understandable. That is very understandable.
Pretty solid play against Redline there.
Oh, yes.
With those proton torpedoes, pushing the crit through. You have to be a lot more careful with Redline now, I imagine. All those target locks on him.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful seismic charge, but he paid the price. Doesn't get any nastier than that. So I'd say, yeah, like a lot of damage on Dee's side of the table, but the arguably the most important early piece, that Punisher, is also in some serious trouble.
Yes, yeah, didn't lose any ships.
No.
So we'll have to see if Mankit can take any of these bombers off the table before they can return fire this upcoming round here.
Yeah, this next round's going to be really, really rough because a lot of bombers on the table, a lot of proton torpedoes still in those tubes.
At this point, yeah, if you've got Vermeil, you've got Redline, what do you want to do with those two ships to kind of, see what you can? You want to just try and avoid damage here?
I don't know what you do on this approach. It's a little tricky because all those bombers are going to be moving before Vermeil, which means they have a pretty good chance of blocking him up. They have a pretty good chance of forcing his ailerons move to be a strange one. That asteroid is going to be hard for him to avoid. It basically locks him into doing a bank to the right or a hard turn, which he doesn't want to do because that would put him in a very weird place. And, as soon as you put a bomber in front of him, too, he could maybe go left and take the asteroid damage, but Vermeil's in a rough spot. He tried a bold maneuver to get in and jam away that focus token. Now, if he had been in range of that focus token, that would be 2 less hits on the Punisher.
Yes.
And not only that, no crit. So being out of jamming range by that one little tiny millimeter, huge impact on this game. Combined with the fact that injured bomber on the top is still on the table, I think Mankit had a chance to have a really decisive round, but instead the game is anybody's guess at this point.
Yeah, very close. With the ailerons, too, Vermeil is almost certainly going to have to
That was rough, Brent, right there.
boost her. I guess it's just bank to the right there, right?
Well, Vermeil might just be a sacrificial play
Yeah,
here, he seems to be right up in the mix. If Mankit wants to put more bombs on the table, he's going to have to catch Vermeil in the blast. So pretty crazy use of a very expensive ship with Darth Vader on it, but I like it. I like the aggression. I respect that he's just going right in there as hard as he can. It'll be pretty interesting. So I am sort of anticipating a proton bomb this round. We'll see how that plays out.
Yes. A beautiful play getting that Reaper into that position without hitting that asteroid.
This is a tough round, though,
Yeah.
for where does it go from here?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, unless it has a nice wide open approach vector, it's tough to, you know, pull off an ailerons maneuver and a regular maneuver.
And not a whole lot of places it can go.
A lot of thought going in this round, as it should.
We still have Whisper up there, kind of lurking in the shadows, kind of getting ready to...
I like that Whisper positioning a lot
Yes.
because if he turns in to deal with Vermeil and the Punisher, as I believe he should, Whisper can just start closing in, getting those tasty range one shots, really punishing. Collision detector on Whisper is going to keep Whisper very flexible with those obstacles. Juke on there means that there's almost no way that those bomber defense dice are going to do very much against Whisper's shots. So it's a tough position for Dee to be in because he's basically on the clock. You know, unless he can start removing ships, he's just going to get chewed through here. But he had a good shot against that Punisher, and he's still in the game, to be sure.
I mean, we know that's detonating, right? We can just agree. Yeah.
So seismic charge there to make Vermeil's life a little easier. That's a smart play instead of the proton bomb because that means that if Vermeil does get hung up on that rock, he's going to be able to remove it and still get a shot in the combat phase. That's a big deal.
Over here?
And here that bomber comes, just as sort of we anticipated, doing that blocking play. No surprise there. That's a good position for that bomber to be in.
Let's focus.
I think the big question in this match is, can Redline get 3 rounds of bomb flinging? I think if that happens, Mankit's in great shape.
Yeah.
But I would anticipate perhaps more like 2. Wow, this is very interesting. Just power jamming that Lambda with a red turn directly onto an asteroid. Going all in on that block. No damage, but no shot and no action either. That's fascinating. That is a bold move, and we will see if that pays off. Needs some seismic charges of his own to let that Lambda shoot. Very interesting. So that is a hard play to keep that Reaper blocked up and to maybe close in on the Punisher. He's going all in on this.
Get in there.
Even to the point of double stressing his Lambda and losing a shot. That's very, very interesting. Playing for future positioning, though. Oh, it's debris. The chat has mentioned that it's debris. So that would make sense. That's hence the double stress, and he will still get a shot. That makes a lot more sense.
Focus.
I thought that was an asteroid. So, very logical move for the Lambda. Will get some fire off. Difficult round for Mankit. He's a bit boxed in. Those bombers are just going to take that seismic charge, too. Well, this one's barrel rolling out of the way, but it's still going to be a lot of damage spread out.
Just in case you head this way.
I go forward.
The aileron?
Looks like I can't quite tell what he. maneuver he's doing with his ailerons. Doesn't have a ton of options. I'm just, bumping in. Vermeil is just taking a shield there.
Yep. No surprise there. Not going to get out of this trap. But may clear that first bomber. That would be very good. If he can bump that that back bomber there and have a chance to get out of the fight next turn, that's going to be really solid. But we shall see.
Sure.
Oh, a little assistance here. Try to
We'll just have to.
line that sucker up.
It's real tight. This is one of those rounds where everything's
You
just
got to
getting
make
all
sure to
bunched
do
up.
it. You got to make sure to do everything by the book.
I almost picked up my ship.
Misplaced the Reaper for a second.
right
there.
there.
I mean, it's,
That is actually a pretty decent place to
That's,
be.
very nice.
my hands are shaky from caffeine too.
Just getting a slight adjustment from our judge here. The final position of Vermeil.
No?
Squaring everything up. Yeah, looks like he does clear that first bomber.
That's
Bumps
actually
the
a
second.
kind of amazing place for Vermeil to be. He's not risking a lot of fire here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he was able to get such a decent position after all.
Yeah, they didn't have a ton of options, so.
No, but he slipped right through there.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed by that. They're going to just make sure that that placement is exactly right. Of course, very important. So the judges positioning, determining the final position there because it's very critical.
The red line's going to be very close. I think he got in there
I think
without
he
it.
managed not to hit the rock. And now here, the nice thing is Redline is equipped with ablative plating, so he doesn't have to worry about those
Yes.
bombs.
Mhm.
He can just fling them willy-nilly, which is exactly what he wants to do. And potentially delete a ship here with that Redline target lock ability.
Yeah.
And Whisper.
Whisper, yep.
Collision detector paying off. I really like Mankit's list. He's got a lot of options for, ignoring the obstacles on the field, removing the obstacles on the field.
Yeah, didn't have to worry about that debris field there. Very nice.
Yep.
Coming in around behind those bombers.
This one explodes.
Yep.
So this one
Seismic
gets
charge
damage.
goes off.
Major from Mal gets damage.
Okay.
Boom. These bombers are getting worked.
This one gets damage.
Should be number 3.
Did not quite get out of there. So that's the advantage of the seismic charge versus the proton bomb at this stage. Seismic charge, if you can land it on a nice big rock, is going to give you just a little bit more
Yes.
distance to catch multiple ships.
I don't know.
Yep, and now that rock is out of the way
It is
for
kind
red
of,
line.
yeah, it's kind of amazing to see a Punisher be the MVP of a
Yes.
list, right? What a world.
Vader.
What a new era we are.
I'll be honest, I
Living
was
in.
just kind of surprised to even see that in there. I was
Right?
like, Punisher? What?
They're,
Okay.
they're strong now. We
I'm about to.
took some lessons from first edition and really tried to figure out what the Punisher was missing. Give it some seriously strong options in 2.0.
Proton.
I'm sorry?
Proton torpedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, proton torpedo at this bomber here.
D needs to make something happen this round because he's losing bombers fast. Now
Wow, that's it.
that is a proton
That's a
torpedo.
proton torpedo.
After that Nerf torpedo, someone loaded the test round into the
Yep.
tube for the first shot, but now they're really paying off.
Hey!
Oh,
Okay.
is that going to be enough? That's a pretty good roll for a
That
bomber,
is-
I must say.
Yes.
And he has that focus token. Does he survive?
1, 2, 3.
Did I use my focus?
Huh?
Did I use my focus? No,
No.
No,
No, you're.
Just
Hey.
natty.
Didn't even have to use that focus. Yep.
A fist bump there for the natty pro torp roll.
Gonna have-
Uh-oh, everything's a crit.
Pilot. That's a good time.
Wow. One. Whew. Yikes.
Wounded pilot in a hull breach.
Wounded pilot could finish that bomber off. We'll see. Because, of course.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Whisper is going after
Whisper's
it.
coming in, and it's going to be crit city here. Not what he wants to see.
Real solid roll.
Oh yeah, his dice got hot. They got hot.
Are those
Double
all crits
blanks
now?
on the defense.
Those are all crits because of major hull breach. Not that it matters. That's a dead ship one way or another. But we do get to see what they were.
Yeah, fuel leak.
Fuel leak. So that means there's 2 more damage coming in.
So this is number 2, and then the fuel leak.
And there's also face up. Did you have help, please?
No, this is from the. Oh, you're right. You're right.
And yeah, that's also face up because of.
And then
Another fuel. Wow. That bomber's got all kinds of issues.
I'm a wicked.
Oh no! Now that bomber went kablooey.
Yeah.
There's just nothing left.
Took some shots there.
Vapor. Space dust is all that bomber is.
Oh, that's so brutal.
Oh, and I get an iron token, yeah?
I think that bomber, I think it died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no more bomber for sure.
Kablooey.
You
So
done
that's
yet?
that's first blood. That's the first ship to go down.
All right. I got things. Oh, he's dead. That one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo!
All right, but
Man, that's just
a chance to put this Punisher in the grave.
Yeah, we are going to see.
Take Redline off the board, please, is what
Yes.
Dee is saying right
Yeah.
now. Because he needs to. He's already done such catastrophic damage to his list.
Does not want to mess with Redline anymore.
I think there is a good
Alright,
chance
so I
Redline
have
will
2 shots.
disappear this round, but he's going to need the dice to treat him right.
Can you put your Reaper back on the base, please?
Oh, disqualification. Was that range one?
Can I mark?
We are returning the Reaper to the base in
Yeah,
order
still got those
to
templates on there.
in order to keep things kosher,
Yep.
keep things by the book.
Oh, the ancient?
It looked
All
like
right.
one. Here.
Regulations adhered to.
All right, Lambda taking a shot. Looks like that's range 1.
Ah.
And that is not what he needed to see, although 2 hits is not too bad. So spend that
So
focus.
focus,
Might
yeah.
as well, right? Okay, try to stay alive any way you can.
Oh, I need all of this. All right.
Got some proton torpedoes coming
It's
in
away.
here.
So he needs this to come through for him in a big way. So you do not want Redline to stay on the board. Not bad.
Not bad.
Spend that lock.
Spend the lock. Why not? See if you can finish
Absolutely.
them off.
Absolutely spend that lock.
Yeah, no point in waiting around, right? There
Nope.
you go.
Okay, so yeah, Punisher's gonna have to pull it off here. We'll see what happens. Oh,
Got the evade.
but there's still a couple crits in the mix,
Yes.
so not a couple. There's a lot of crits in the mix. There it
Direct
is.
hit.
Yep, that's all I
That'll-
needed.
That'll do it.
Crits so impactful once you get through those shields.
Yes.
Much more impactful in second edition because one of the things that we did was we took the shield to hull ratios and we adjusted shields downwards.
Oh, okay.
So that is going to continue to have a big impact on tournament play and really improve
Oh,
the
stunned. Right.
utility of crit type weapons like proton torpedoes that generate a crit. It's one of the reasons they're so expensive is because they can really fling out those crits reliably, and there's not that much in the game that can reliably produce a crit at the moment.
Yeah, certainly a lot of nasty crits in there. There's also, it seems to me anyway, a lot of pilot abilities that help you expose those face-down cards.
Oh yes, yep. And the damage deck is, it's different, you know. It's in some ways less lethal than the 1.0 damage deck,
That's the priority.
but unlike the 1.0 damage deck, almost every single ship has something to fear from almost every single damage card. So there's
Yes.
not going to be those things where you pull, you know, a card that ignores your pilot talent that you don't have. Almost every card in that deck is going to affect you in some negative way.
Yes.
So it's a lot scarier.
So we've got, looks like going into dials here, Whisper's in a pretty good position to come in and light up one of these ships. What do you think is going to happen with Vermeil here?
What's Vermeil at?
That's a great question. No stress on Vermeil, so they'll get the ailerons move. One cool thing that Vermeil could do is whip to the left with the ailerons move and then pull a hard turn to get a shot off. That's always it's always fun if they want to get back in the fight. Of course, they also have that really short K-turn, which is a fun little trick after you've done your ailerons move. So I think there's a lot of options. I think, honestly, I just don't think there's enough bombers left on the board to pull this off at this point. You've got a closer in Whisper. You've got Vermeil, who is damaged, but not, by any means out of the fight. I think Mankit's got this game pretty well in hand at the moment.
A lot of damage spread around on those bombers as well.
You know, that Punisher, I guess when you're up against bombers, just bring a bigger, fatter bomber. That's a lesson there.
I thought you wouldn't go for it. That's why I went.
Load it up. Throw some seismic charges in there.
Oh, yeah.
More worried about those
Seismic charges are one of those devices that
they're so nasty.
They
in the right hands. In the right hands. The Punisher really proving its worth there. I think Mankit playing this game very well.
Also kind of, if we look back all the way at the beginning of the game, pretty excellent starting position for that Punisher kind of.
Oh yeah, no, I
think
coming in on that flank there was very, very smart. Did lose red line eventually, but not before it did an apocalyptic amount of damage.
Yes.
And the other interesting thing here is,
What are you, number 2?
unless he gets lucky with Whisper, that Lambda's pretty much out of the fight in a meaningful way. And it's gonna be a challenge, I think,
Check my down.
to pull this one off.
Do have one of those bombers.
25 minutes left in the round, so plenty of time to wrap this up. I think we will actually see this go down to conclusion.
Yeah, we do have one of the bombers turning in, looks like, to either get a shot on Vermeil maybe, or maybe take a pot shot at Whisper. Really kind of weighing, I'm guessing, where he's going to go with that ailerons maneuver. Can he get around? Can he maybe avoid this bomber?
That's a very good question. Now, the nice thing is, at this point, the formation split up. Multiple obstacles have been removed. Vermeil can, there's that tasty little flip-a-doo. That's a strong play. He can come back into the fight next turn. Now, this is another interesting thing about those ailerons. Such a crazy ability. When you give yourself that stress, they turn off for the next round.
Yes.
So that's one of the only ways that you can slow down those speedy ships and get back into the fight. I think D is really behind the 8 ball at this point. He's got a fully kitted Whisper to deal with. That ship is very, very hard to remove when you don't have numerous firing arcs. He is going to get a proton torpedo off there if that bomber survives.
Oh, no, it's outside range 2, so no Vader.
No Vader. Okay, that's going to help.
2, I mean.
So this bomber just needs to survive a fair amount of firepower here. Juke as well. It's going to come into play. There's no tokens. Juking that evade, so there's going to be 2 more damage cards coming through. Like I said, D's really on the clock because none of his ships can really do much except take damage at this point.
Yes.
Ouch!
Oof.
Vermeil's ability coming into play. He didn't forget it this time.
Yep.
All right.
Tokenless ships are Vermeil's prey. Almost an evade, but not enough to keep that ship. The crit could be the difference. It's not a damage, or it's not a direct hit, so that bomber is hanging on by its fingernails.
We'll get a shot off.
And it
here.
will get a shot. That is so huge. So important.
Let's see what kind of proton
But
torpedoes we're going to get
unless
here.
this comes through in a big, big way, I think D's still in some major trouble.
You're right, yeah, Vermeil Not going to have to do the ailerons next turn, so he can just
my
take it nice and
mighty
slow.
rear arc.
Oh, here comes the Lambda.
Ooh.
No shot, but shot on Whisper.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Gamma fire already? What happened there? Did he just...
Chow, yeah.
Not quite sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so Whisper...
Just focusing him.
No
into-
problems.
yep.
So I think there was a bit of a mistake there, actually. He utilized his Lambda, who's only... Oh, no,
Oh, they're
I'm
the same,
confused.
yeah.
Lambda's at 3. It's
Yeah.
he's got a Scimitar at a 2 there. They're both 3s.
Average. Spend a lot.
For some reason, I thought that remaining bomber was the Scimitar, but it is a Gamma.
Gamma, yep.
A little hard to see the numbers.
25%, give it to me. 50%.
Not a bad roll there. Here comes Vermeil. Nothing.
It's got that evade token, though.
I need it.
Yep.
Give it to me. No.
Oh, this is Vermeil.
Ah.
Vermeil clinging to life. This is a very close game.
It is.
It's a very close game.
Range 3.
Another shot on Whisper here.
Sadly, no torpedo.
Pew pew.
Just a little pew pew.
Yep.
No big deal. NBD.
I cloak.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I will say, I think it's going to come down to how much work can Whisper do here. I think there's plenty of time left in the round. There's almost 20 minutes left in the round. I think that's going to be enough time to whittle down Dee's list.
Yes.
I think if we were a little closer to the buzzer here, Dee might still have a chance to remove Vermeil and kind of hang on. But I don't think these bombers have what it takes to stick it out for another 10 solid minutes
Yeah.
of Whisper. And that's what you want with a list like this. You are going to lose your Punisher. You are going to lose Vermeil eventually, probably. But then you are in the late game with Whisper, Juke, and that is not a fun place
Yes.
to be if you are up against that kind of thing.
Especially if you have ships that don't have a lot of hull remaining. We've got a couple bombers that are just holding on 1 hull and 2 hull. So
This is really an example of experimental technology versus traditional
yes.
armaments. I assume this is some sort of rigorous Imperial training exercise to test the mettle of these new fearsome weapons.
Looks like trying to get up in there.
Do you have 1 forwards now? Can't remember.
One bank.
Banks.
Maybe.
Tie
Yep.
dial's a little bit different. You gotta always check in on things. Things have changed a little in second edition.
Yes.
Uh,
Trying to get in Whisper's
actually,
way here a little bit.
Yeah,
so what's left on Vermeil?
2.
2.
2 hits left on Vermeil. Gotta work to finish it off.
And if you don't do a straight...
I get a damage.
Okay. Alright, a lock.
Going after that lock on Vermeil.
Yep, I don't
Trying
think
to-
Vermeil's long for this
No.
world.
Be able to get one more shot off. Maybe take out a bomber.
Mm-hmm. Lambda just sort of drifting along, being the cumbersome space whale that it is.
Yes.
Coordinate.
Hoping to catch Whisper probably in the rear arc there. But I feel like Whisper's got a lot of options. So.
Whisper's in a good spot.
Yeah. let's go
Whisper's
like I
Whisper's
thought.
in hunter mode.
Mhm.
Uh, you said 2 left?
The other really difficult thing here for D is that Vader, if Vermeil can pull a jam off, can just delete that bomber in the activation phase.
Yes,
And
yeah.
it's a very powerful tool to have. There's very few ships that can do that kind of activation phase damage without some sort of ordnance.
Yes.
And that's what is so interesting about that Vermeil build. It's very fragile, but it's really strong.
Yes, yeah, a lot of options there. Can just, yeah, push through damage, even in the... Is he trying to get
I
up in
think
there
he's
with
trying
the
to
K
sneak
turn?
in there with
Yeah.
a K. I don't know if he's going to make it. Looks like he just
I
barely
think
did.
he did, yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Pat himself on the back there.
Yes, that is Pat-worthy, to
Yep.
be sure. It's one of those 5Ks, too. Those are a little hard to pull off.
I bump now.
Would you forward?
Yeah, because we. Yeah.
What did you do? What's your maneuver?
No,
Oh yeah, 1-4. Yeah, it's total bomb.
Okay. Yeah. Vermeil just going to bump right into
Just a
that gamma.
Little bump there. So that means
Vermeil's not going to be getting shot at by him, at least.
no, and I can't remember if Vader is range 1 or range 0 to 1, because if it's 0 to 1, that was a fancy bit of flying that's just going to end up with a
Yes.
dead bomber. But I believe it's range 1 on Vader. Can't bob.
Yes. Start of engagement, fader, damage.
Oh no. That's right. It is range
It is,
0
it
to
is.
1.
Oh, no.
Oh, D got fancy and it didn't matter.
Thank you.
Yep.
Zoops. Vader's
Yeah.
0 to 2. Vader's nasty.
Yep. Yeah, nice.
I was wondering if D knew something I didn't know, because I was like, maybe there's a reason he did that.
Yeah, 0 to 2. Yeah, Vader.
Whoops. Vader's mean.
3 says.
Yeah, D should have moved forward and tokened up.
Impressive getting that 5K in there, though.
I mean, it was neat.
yeah.
It was neat to look at. It was stylish.
I just have the scimitar. So I'll do those right now.
And that, I think, really puts the
I took
button
2
on
shields.
this match
Yep.
for Mankit.
Yeah, Vermeil seems pretty safe for now. Didn't look like he was going to last much longer, but got that bomber off the board.
Nice to see bombers finish this strong, though, I gotta
Yes.
say.
Rear arc to
Taking some pot
and then,
shots. You never know.
torpedo.
You never know.
Die, Vermeil.
All right, maybe
Oh,
at
yeah, that's
least
true,
get
yep.
Vermeil off the board
This
here.
game has been over for a long time.
Could take Vermeil out. You never know.
You might as well, right?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
satisfaction, if nothing else.
I'm going to use that target lock.
I think that's
Okay.
I think that's
probably
one
it.
dead Vermeil. Kablamo. Yep. So clearly the bomber's doing work, but with Whisper in the end game, it's not looking good. Can't do much about Whisper with just a bomber and a Lambda on the board.
Yep.
Got to feel pretty good getting both of those loaded up ships off the board, though.
Yeah, yeah.
This feels
There's a
bad.
moral victory to that, if nothing
Yes.
else.
Yeah, Whisper.
Oh.
No, you don't always try.
Nothing.
There's been the
Nothing's
target.
happened to Whisper, right? Thus far,
I
she's.
believe Whisper is just fine.
Yeah.
So it's gone.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
Checking on that ordnance. Don't think there's much danger to Whisper at this point. Not with a cloak token, a Lambda just sort of drifting away from the fight,
Yep.
and a single beat-up bomber left on the board.
Yeah. Seems like pretty easy pickings here for Whisper just to get in here,
Really glad you're here.
ride it out.
Some beard enthusiasts on our chat stream right now.
I didn't have
You've
a
got the
plan for
ghost of a beard coming in.
A little bit, yeah. It's about as long as it gets right here. Keep that nicely trimmed. I don't think anybody wants to see it get any.
It's going to be one in a second. Go that way.
Yeah, just about 12 minutes left here.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time for Whisper to come in, do
All
her thing.
Mankit has to do to delete that bomber Let's get a couple shots.
Nope.
Shouldn't be too tough.
And I'm going to be stressed.
Yeah, Dee's got that debris field right in front of him there. Not doing him any favors.
He does have to remove that
Why
bomber
wouldn't you just candy cane and come back?
in order to win, I believe, points-wise, but it shouldn't be too tough.
Yep. What has that got? 2 hull left? Yeah. Have to
You got the juke.
carefully consider where this bomber's going. Maybe you can fool him a little bit.
That's tough. I don't think you can outfly this Whisper
Yeah.
for 11 minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. Got the decloak coming.
Oh.
Ooh, decloak forward.
Oh,
K-turn.
you've been cool. This is disrespect. This is not sporty.
Whisper's nasty, yep.
Could you blast me through there? I took
going right.
stun pilot damage there.
This could theoretically be it.
Oh, and I just might die.
Let's see.
Oh, you know what?
Live.
Going out. Oh, was that a?
Live.
That's just a hit.
Oh, just a
Yep,
hit, yeah.
Yep. So no
I was gonna
damage
say,
there.
is D just going to go out on his own terms?
Lambda just staying in there.
Got some dabbing on the
I reinforce.
dab emoji coming out on the Twitch stream. Some early birds this morning here. Maybe
I'm not gonna have you in
some
art.
global viewers too.
Yeah, that's my action. Go ahead. I don't know. Rear.
Whoa, going after the Lambda.
Surprising.
Dang, I should have K-turned.
Fascinating move there. I guess if he gets half points on the Lambda, he's just as good.
Yes.
He's just as good as if he finishes off that bomber. So why not, right? Lambda's an easier prey.
You can juke that, yep.
Juke it up.
Crit.
And
One more
Yeah.
damage to the Lambda, and I think that is the win. So I guess it's probably the safer choice, all things considered. When you really get down, he's not taking any chances because the Lambda, unlike the bomber, can't really go anywhere.
no, doesn't have a lot of good options down there.
He's probably not going to take it out, but he doesn't have to. Again, he
Yep.
just needs to get half points
those
on that
half
thing
points,
to seal
yep.
up the win. And by coming in this direction, that bomber is not a threat to Whisper. Now, the game's not over because if that bomber pulls off a miraculous proton torpedo and takes Whisper down to half points,
Yes.
he
yep.
could win. It's theoretically possible, but barring some kind of miracle, I don't think there's much D can do here.
Yeah?
And another decloak. Just going to hunt this Lambda to extinction.
Yeah, Lambda's probably not going to be too much of a threat to Whisper.
Well, he put the wings
Yeah.
down, so you know it's serious
Yeah.
business.
Nope, it's on now.
Maybe that'll give him a little extra.
I'm reloading.
Just noticed for the first time that the wings on the Lambda match the tracksuit here, so very nice.
Bomber has
There you go.
rearmed torpedo. In the unlikely event it gets to fire it, but you might as well take every opportunity you can. Lambda doing its best to get out of here, but it is the prey, and Whisper is the predator in this scenario. Support chips are great, but once you run out of stuff to support, they're a little tricky.
Yep,
A little
gotta
tricky. Now, it still
run
it has that rear arc, so,
Yeah.
you know,
2 dice out of
anything's
the rear arc,
possible.
correct?
It's always blanks. Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
There goes crit into the Lambda.
Come on, Paul Heber. Save me.
Yeah,
And
juke.
juke that.
But he's got to focus.
Crit.
Does, yep,
Spend
have
that
to spend the
focus?
focus, yep.
Yeah, no damage. So, coming back. Hot lambda dice here. Oh, harsh.
Sadness. Huh? Reload.
Oh, reload is stress too.
Red action.
So we've got 6 minutes left here.
Whenever you're
Just
ready.
trying to get Whisper to do a little bit more damage on that Lambda and get the half points. See if the bomber can get up there, turn around, and maybe get a proton torpedo shot off.
It is possible, but
Yeah.
not too likely.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
I mean,
Yeah,
here's the
okay.
thing. Anything could happen. Whisper could throw nothing but blanks for the rest of the game and D wins, but I don't see that happening. We shall see.
Just trying to chase the Lambda off the board at this point.
Lambda's going to have to do a hard 2, I think,
Yeah.
to stay on the table, which means stress, which means no token, which means juke. And again, just 1 damage, I think, is all Mankit needs to seal
Yep, there's
I was
that hard
debating
the
myself.
too.
deal.
Yeah. But then the next turn you will die.
Yeah. Go for it.
Some questions on the forum. What Vermeil and
I couldn't even 1-4.
Redline were loaded up with. Vermeil's an interesting build. It's got Darth Vader and 000, which is
Yes.
pretty intense to put on a Reaper. That's a lot of points on a Reaper, but it really paid off. And then Redline also loaded for Bear. Trajectory Simulator, Ablative Plating, Seismic Charges, Proton Torpedoes, and Proton Bombs. The TIE Punishing Est is Redline.
Now you notice that there are not as many obstacles out there as there were at the beginning of the game.
A couple Seismic
Yep.
Charges really cleared that field out, opened things up.
Lambda did lose its shields. Have to take a crit there. I assume that's where the stress came from. Well, I mean the hard 2 and then the crit.
I think poor Jendon is not long for this world.
Yeah, might be able to take Jendon off the board before all is said and done here.
I wouldn't be too surprised. Whisper rolling in, throwing 4 dice. It's no joke. Those anti-pursuit lasers only get you so far.
Yes. Nice little maneuver there to stay out of Jendon's rear arc as well and get at range 1. Doesn't quite have to worry about it as much this next round if he can just get Jendon off the board. I mean, getting those 3 hull is going to be a little difficult, but not unheard of.
Not unheard of.
I'm very disappointed about that panic, actually. I was hoping to maybe, if I was very lucky, have a chance to jam in there.
Can you also do jam?
Yeah, red action.
Yeah, Lambda's flexible. Got Coordinate, got Red Jam. It's a very different ship in 2nd edition. A lot more utility.
Oh, this is a kill shot. Dang it.
Phase 2. One kid.
Just the 1 crit. Console fire. Chipping away.
Lambda's going to have a shot here. Shouldn't be.
Waving it away. Waving it away.
Just even take the damage, wouldn't you?
It's funny. It's theoretically possible to drop a full health Whisper with a single proton torpedo.
Yep.
If you get the right crits.
Yep.
Not likely, but possible.
Yeah, Whisper is going to run right into this bomber here. So this last little bit's going to be pretty interesting.
I think we've got a console fire that both players have forgotten about.
Ah! Made you sweat a little bit, right?
Yeah. I should have killed a bomber.
It's regretting going after this Lambda, perhaps?
So you could reload and that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's really painful though that the stress. They're so bad at clearing stress. Where are you going? Collision detector's so good.
Yeah, the collision detector is still in play there for Whisper, so debris field right in front of her is not that much of an issue.
Not a danger.
Can't quite, get rid of this Lambda like he wants to.
On your go.
Really got to weigh Whisper's move here pretty carefully.
Mm-hmm. This will be the final round.
Yep. Does he try and take out that Lambda or potentially avoid the proton torpedoes from the last remaining bomber?
Take your time, man.
It's fine.
Still a very slight chance for D here if he can somehow get half points on Whisper and stay alive with Jendon. That would be pretty miraculous, though. And it looks like Whisper just does not want to play that game.
Nope,
Whisper says, why would I risk that?
Yep.
I am making it into the top 16. I am not interested in
just,
tempting fate.
Gone forward and then blown past me, too. Like,
Yep.
Or if you could block me potentially.
Mankit taking no chances.
Yep.
Or you could
No
block me and
chances.
then I'm in range 1. So
That's smart.
okay, interesting.
And margin at this point in the
Where you
game
going,
does
though?
not matter that much. It's just about getting into that top 16
Exactly.
elimination bracket. So no need to try any risky plays.
Let me.
Can he barrel roll? Can he pull this off in any way? I don't think so. But he's going to think about it.
Does it get in the way of the Lambda?
you have to try to take a long. That's the only chance.
Well, I could barrel roll, get a little closer, and I think I should. But you're just gonna kill me.
It's true, yeah, I could just shoot the
D's-
bomber has, what, 2 hull?
D is
My
all
barrel roll, I have.
out
Could still get at our.
of options.
All right. Let's do it.
Why not?
Little
What do you have to
closer.
lose?
Yep, go for it.
Kinda.
See if there's
Link.
even a shot there. It's going to be close.
And lock. Nope. So yeah, it was out either way.
And that is that. Game over.
Yeah. Ah!
Game over, man. C'est fini. Good game to both players. Mankit just had the tools. The tools to deal with that horde of
you.
bombers.
I'm gonna get you.
It's not obstructed.
Looks clear to me. Yeah.
Take out this bomber here.
No!
You're dead anyway. I juke you, and you have 1 hole left.
Lock it, natty.
Oh no, you have 3. Sorry.
Yeah. There's a small chance of survival here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Oh, should have had that focus token.
Yep.
Well, there goes the bomber. We got a little more.
Last damage cards. I have no
more.
damage cards.
Wow.
And D is out
Wow.
of damage cards.
Wow.
Wow.
Guess that's what happens when you have 5 ships with a lot of hull there.
Dang-a-lang. We got maybe a shot from the shuttle. Maybe. Range 3 through the rock. And a pile of dice. And there it is.
There.
That's the game. That's the game. A hug between champions.
If my first engagement is just wrong, I'll be sorry.
What's that?
If my first engagement is I make a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
No, that's seismic being in range by that. That was probably it.
Really putting the worlds here in Coruscant, bringing people from all over the place.
Yes. Pretty tight match
Mankit
there
from the
overall.
Netherlands. Yeah, I think it was going to be a rough one for D from the beginning, just due to how nasty a fully kitted out Redline is when you have a lot of slow, lumbering ships. So that's a bit of a tough matchup for D, but he still played very, very well. And yeah, I'd say a fine match to start the day here. We are going to halt the stream briefly after this to try to work out some of the kinks in our system here. But we will be back shortly as we get into the top 16. Come back at 11:15. We'll have another match on the stream for you as we winnow the field down and get closer to an eventual champion here.
Yes. We'll see you guys then.